This is the Bates Bobcast, our weekly podcast that takes a look at the week that was in Bates athletics. My name is Aaron Morse, and this week we talked to a pair of Bates pitchers who propelled their teams to victory last week. Plus, meet Bates women's lacrosse senior captain Shelby Howard, who helped the Bobcats win on the road against nationally ranked Hamilton. All that and more coming up on the Bates Bobcast. The softball team is off to the program's best start in NESCAC action since 2012, winning 3 of 4 games last week to improve to 4-2 in conference play. The Bobcats split a doubleheader Friday with Bowdoin before sweeping Wesleyan on the road Saturday in Middletown. First-year pitcher Madison Hollis had a lot to do with the victories, winning 2 games in the circle, including a shutout of the Cardinals. For that, she was named the NESCAC Softball Pitcher of the Week. Hollis also hit safely in all 4 games, doing it all for the Bobcats. And she is our female Bobcat of the Week. Well, Madison, first of all, you described your hometown as middle of nowhere, Tennessee. How did Bates come on your radar for college?
So I was actually recruited by the previous head coach, McAlpine. I was just picking up with a team in Atlanta, and she just walked up to my game. And I was pitching the last 2 innings of the game, and I think my shortstop made an error. I didn't know the girl, but I just kind of looked at her and was like, hey, you got the next one, no big deal. And I pitched out of it, no runs scored, but I think she just kind of walked up to the fence and, she told me later that it was, destiny. It was, really crazy.
And so had you heard of Bates before? What was your kind of college research process like?
So I'd never heard of Bates or, the NESCAC or anything, but I really wanted to go to school and just play softball.
Yeah.
So I wasn't looking anywhere, super massive, but I wanted, a really good education. And then Coach Byrne, told me about the great education that I could get and play, competitive softball, and that was really, that sealed the deal.
So what was your first visit to Maine like? I assume you hadn't been there before.
I had not. It was in September. Me and my mom came up for a weekend. I went to the clinic, and I met the girls, and they were all great. I met one in particular, and I told my mom, I was like, if the girls are half as cool as her, I'm going to love it here. It's going to be so awesome. And I committed about a week later.
Great. Well, tell us about growing up. How did you first get into softball, and have you always been a pitcher?
So I had an older sister. Her name is Erin. She's 4 years older than me, and she wanted to be a catcher. So I followed my big sister, and I wanted to be a catcher. And then we played, this little league town. We've had a little league in my town, and she was the only girl on her team that knew how to pitch. So she became a pitcher, and she was really good. And I wanted to be like my big sister, so I also became a pitcher, and it just kind of stuck.
Did she play in college and stuff?
She did. She played 1 year at a local junior college, and she did really good, actually.
Excellent. And so, obviously you pitch and you hit. So how do you kind of balance, training for both those disciplines?
It's kind of having the pitcher mindset kind of helps me in the box. It's kind of what is she going to throw? What would I throw? How to get ahead and stuff like that. But I just work really hard at both of them. I really appreciate my teammates. They really push me to do the best I can. It's also really important to, not take what you do on the mound to the batter's box. It's really important to separate them. And I think my teammates are really good at, keeping me, separated.
And we have 3 first-year pitchers, and so tell us about that group.
Oh, they're awesome. I love my other pitchers. Delaney's doing very well right now. I love having her. Taylor's hurt, which I hope she heals up so we can have her as well.
And then, Coach McKay, obviously her first year as a head coach. What's she like?
I love Coach McKay. She's awesome. She is so knowledgeable about the game, and I really love her as a person. She makes us feel really welcomed. I know I'm very far from home, so I miss my parents a lot, and Coach McKay is always just right there. She's very loving, but she's also a really good head coach. I really love her.
Yeah, and you mentioned, having an older sister and following her kind of into softball, and we talked off air about you also going to a lot of Tennessee games, right? As a kid, Tennessee has a powerhouse softball program. What was that like, and how that inspired you, kind of, I guess?
Well, I always knew that I wanted to play in college.
Yeah.
I liked watching the girls on TV, but it was always that kind of this is the highest stage that you can kind of play as a softball player. So I really wanted to do that. I love to compete. I'm very competitive, so I think just being able to compete and also get my education, I really like it.
Yeah, you mentioned school first, so what are you looking to study here?
Biology.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to go to med school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. How long have you wanted to be a doctor?
Well, I knew I wanted to do something medical. My mom's a nurse.
Okay.
So I was in a class here at Bates, and we talked about endometriosis, which is a something that happens to your ovaries. I'm not going to get into the science part of it, but it really took me aback, and I walked up to my professor and I was like, this has inspired me, and she was like, so what are you going to do? And so I've decided that I want to be a gynecologist and study endometriosis.
Excellent. And then, looking at the team the past few games, you pitched against Bowdoin, a team that, they showed they can really hit, but you were able to shut them down. What was the key to your success there?
Well, me and Kennedy, my catcher, love her. She calls them my pitches. We kind of had a conversation of, we saw what they did in the first game. What can we do differently? And Delaney pitched fine. They're just a very good hitting team. And I think me and Kennedy, our biggest thing was keep them off balance, throw them stuff that they can't put the barrel of the bat on.
So is Kennedy always your catcher, basically?
So far, yes.
Yeah,
She's been my catcher. I love Kennedy. She's also from the South. She's from Mississippi. She's very good at what she does. We are also, getting on the same page, pitch-wise, which I think is really important. And it's actually, really useful because it's really good whenever you, have a pitch in your mind, whenever you step on the mound and you, look at your catcher and she calls it. You're like, oh, my gosh, we're telepathic. It's crazy.
And then that home run she hit was wild, right? Dead center.
I know. She's so good.
And what's it like, having someone else from this, because we don't get too many people here from Tennessee and Mississippi. So what's that like, having her, being from the same region as you, right?
It's really nice because, we make, funny alliterations all the time, and no one knows what we're talking about. But, we get each other, so, it's, really nice.
And then the very next day you pitched against Wesleyan, complete game shutout in that one.
Well, my changeup was really good. And I've developed this funny little pitch. It's a kind of drop curve moment. But my defense really helped me out a lot that game. They made a lot of good catches. I know Sarah made a really good catch in the first inning. And then, my infield just played really well. They got a lot of ground balls. And I think it was a very good team win. And, they hit the ball very well and whatnot.
Yeah, the team in general off to a really good start. What's been, in your mind, the key to success so far?
Our key to success is, playing, coming down, not getting too antsy. Coach has been very big on even killed this year. Don't get too high, don't get too low. And it's been really helpful.
Excellent. Well, I guess just in our thoughts on the season so far and your first year at Bates, being up here in Maine for the first time, right?
I just really love it. Yeah. I mean, we're competing very well, which I love. I love the girls. I love Coach McKay. I love my classes. I just really love it here.
Excellent. Well, Madison Hollis, our female Bobcat of the week, and, by the way, our NESCAC softball pitcher of the week. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
The men's tennis team picked up a huge win over number 18 nationally ranked Wesleyan on Saturday, defeating the Cardinals 6-3. Junior Matthew Danielson played a big role in the victory, teaming with senior captain Leo Kupferman to win at number 2 doubles and winning at number 6 singles. Not only that, Danielson and Kupferman picked up a win earlier in the week against their opponent from number 20 nationally ranked Colby. With his team-high 3 wins over the last 2 matches, Matthew Danielson is our male Bobcat of the week. Male Bobcat of the week, Matthew Danielson with us here on the Bobcast talking some men's tennis. And first of all, big win over a top 20 ranked team in Wesleyan there for the Bobcats this past weekend. You obviously had a lot of success, but what was the add to the team kind of going into that match, and how did you guys pull it off?
Yeah, we were obviously super excited to pull off that big upset. And honestly, coming in, we didn't feel like the underdog team. We knew we were the better team. We had our home courts. And we were a little disappointed with our previous results against Amherst and Colby leading up to this matchup. So we had a players-only meeting Friday to go over mostly bringing the intensity, and we all showed up and played out and ended up with a great result.
Yeah, and you and Leo Kupferman had a big week because you two got a win against Colby and then again against Wesleyan. So what's been working with that doubles combination?
Yeah, I love playing with Leo. I think he and I have some great doubles chemistry, and seems like every single match we play, we keep getting better and better. We've had some great results this season, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the week, or the rest of the season. Yeah,
well, I mean, you mentioned off air you'd not played with him previously, and so how do you build that doubles chemistry? What's the key to that?
A lot of practice, and you have to also be pretty familiar with your partner, know how to talk him down if he gets upset, know how to bring him back up, and we have our set plays, what we like to do, and usually we are reading each other's mind out there, and we know what we're doing even before we say anything.
It's funny, I was talking with Cam, and he mentioned his doubles partner this year, Googe, how they're very different in terms of personality. What's your personality like compared to Leo's?
We're somewhat similar. We approach tennis very intensely, but we also both can get back on focus, joking around a little bit, and being a little more, we both play better when we're relaxed. Mm-hmm. So that's the key. At least I try to pick him up by telling him it's all good. Let's get back at it, and usually that works.
And then, of course, right after doubles play, you transition into singles. You were at number 6 singles, got a win there against Wesleyan. Take us through that singles victory there for you against the Cardinals.
It was a tough match. but I have to credit to the energy that our entire team brought, the intensity. I was able to look over right next to me, Gooch was playing next to me, and he was playing intense. Cam was battling, Nick was battling, and the bench was going crazy. So that energy is what fueled me to be able to win.
Excellent. And then, in terms of your approach, what's the biggest, how much time did you have between matches? Because sometimes it's no time at all, really, right?
Yeah, I think we get 5 minutes between doubles to singles. So, it's not too bad if you win doubles because then you're on the doubles high and you can just transition right in. But the tough part is if you drop a few matches or drop some doubles matches, you have to refocus, singles focus, and get back out there.
I know you guys played a lot of really tough opponents early in the year. Obviously, everyone in the NESCAC is tough. But what are you kind of looking at in terms of the remaining schedule to get into that NESCAC tournament here?
We have a tough match on Wednesday at Bowdoin. They're a solid team. I believe they're top 15. And then this weekend we have Conn College and Trinity at home, and we should be able to win both those matches and get right into the NESCACs. I think we can beat Bowdoin too, but for sure, Conn and Trinity. Yeah,
Bowdoin's always the rivalry matchup, and it's too bad it's on the road, right? Because I know you have a big home court advantage here, right?
Yeah, we do. Although it's warmer out, so we might be going back outside, so no more Merrill.
Looking forward to get out in Wallach at some point here for some matches.
Oh yeah, hopefully this weekend both matches will be outside. The weather's forecast this week is beautiful, so looking forward to some outdoor tennis.
So you got to be practicing outside this week, you think?
Yeah. Okay. Starting tomorrow. I saw they were putting the nets up today. So
there you go.
Yeah.
So moving indoors to outdoors, what's the biggest transition? I know the court's very different. Obviously, the wind comes into play, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is readjusting your eyes and almost timing because each court bounces differently. Our indoor courts bounce really quickly, and we played Colby on Thursday. Their outdoor courts are really slow, so it's really about how quickly can you adjust your eyes to see the ball earlier and really get your timing down.
Excellent. So what are some things you've been working on with Coach Gassingay and Coach Magda about your game this year as a junior?
I've always been an aggressive player and keep that in the game. The toughest part for me has always been getting tight in matches or getting nervous, as everyone does. So really working through those tough moments and just battling every single point and staying loose. When I play loose, no one can beat me.
I feel like so much of tennis is that mental side. You have to be in great shape, but there's so much mental side to it, isn't there?
Definitely. I think it's, especially at the higher levels, it's almost all mental. If you look at the pros, all those players are physical beasts out there, and they can all hit the tennis ball as well as everybody else. But what separates them is their mentality and how they handle the tough points.
Who are some pros you admire when you watch tennis?
I've always liked Federer. Federer's been my favorite. I like his game, super aggressive. But from the mental standpoint, I think Novak Djokovic is super mentally tough out there. And some people don't like him because he can have some antics on the court, but no one can deny how much he's won and his success.
Well, of course, from an earlier generation, famous for his antics was John McEnroe. Yeah. I don't know if you ever watched any of those clips.
Yeah. He's definitely some crazy antics out there.
But you have no officials to yell at because you are the official for your match, right? You officiate each other, right? How does that go sometimes?
That can be tough. Yeah. Some teams are known more than others to have some tight calls. Also depends on your opponent. It goes pretty well. Honestly, I could see it being a lot worse. I'm honestly surprised that some of these guys, or we don't even try to hook each other. We call it hooking when you steal a point.
How there's a term for it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen that often.
No. Usually it happens when it's a really close point, or if it's when it's 4-all or deuce, and you need that point. Wait, I need that, and it's out, and then you take the point.
Well, any other thoughts you want to share on the season so far? We haven't got to talk about.
I'm really excited for these last couple of weeks. I think we can make an impact at the NESCAC tournament. I love this group of guys we're playing with. We're a veteran team. Most of our players are seniors and juniors this year. So it's our one last chance with these guys, and we're going to make the most of it.
The women's lacrosse team secured a big NESCAC victory at number 23 nationally ranked Hamilton on Saturday, defeating the Continentals 12-10, behind a career-high 4 goals from senior captain Shelby Howard. It's the second straight season the Bobcats have defeated a nationally ranked Hamilton team, and Howard joins the Bobcast to talk about the victory and more. Well, Shelby, I believe it's your first time on the Bobcast, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
Senior captain for women's lacrosse. Take us back when you were looking at colleges. What made Bates the place for you?
So my older sister actually went to Bates. She was class of 2019, and she played lacrosse. And originally I told myself that I don't want to follow in her footsteps and that I didn't want to be the copycat little sister that I've kind of always been to her. And then I would visit for either lacrosse games or for different school events that she was going to. And I just noticed how nice everybody was, especially her younger teammates too. That became my future teammates. And as I was looking at other schools, I just didn't have that. They didn't have that same draw to them. And ultimately, I ended up going to Bates and becoming best friends with those people that were so nice to me on my visits. And they were like nice to me for no reason. You know, they would just take time out of their day to say hi, ask what's up. They'd remember things about me. And that just totally stood out throughout the decision process for me. So
Terrific. And then how'd you get into the sport kind of to begin with?
Lacrosse?
Yeah.
Again, so it was my older sister.
Right.
So yeah, she's 5 years older than me.
Yeah.
And growing up, I would just do everything that she did. I played soccer, basketball, and lacrosse growing up. But lacrosse was like the sport she was really good at. So it was so much fun watching her. We only had town lacrosse back in the day. There wasn't a lot of clubs when I was growing up. And I remember being the only like second grader on the third grade team. But it was so much fun. I loved just how dynamic the sport was. Soccer for me was always like a little bit more technical and stressful, I think, just because there were certain expectations, and I'd played that sport since I was really young. And then lacrosse, I kind of just it was always for fun. And that was super refreshing even as a second grader, that I could kind of just go out there. We'd all do every position, so you'd take the draw, you'd go in goal and put on all that big padding and things like that. And it was just like a overall fun experience. So I kept at it throughout high school. And then also a huge help was throughout my decision process that my older sister had gone to Bates. And in regard to recruiting, that was helpful just to have that connection with the coach at the time, Brett Allen, already. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this senior class has gone through a lot, to say the least.
Yes.
You come to Bates in 2019, 2020 as first years, and you beat Southern Maine, I remember, the last women's lacrosse, the last athletic event. And like a few days later, everyone went home. I mean, and then abbreviated season the next year. So how were you able to kind of get through that year from your perspective, I guess? Right.
That was crazy. And we'd actually gone to California that year for our spring break trip. We went to LA, and things were just off to such a strong, exciting start, because unlike the fall and the winter sports where you kind of have the season hit you early, lacrosse is just all spring sports are just full of like the anticipation of waiting. And that freshman year, our whole grade was like waiting to get on the field, play, and it was just taken from us like so quickly. And I think it was a huge mental adjustment. And then going back to school our sophomore year, it was social distanced groups of 10 with masks on. And that was the lacrosse we had. And I think people just really had to like readjust. And now, fast forward to our senior year, we've only played like one full season of college lacrosse, but we're leaders of this team now. So there's been some like reconciling with that and trying to, even though we don't have much experience, like we went to Hamilton this past Saturday. And that was all of our like first time doing that bus ride together. Yeah. Which is crazy because most seniors, without COVID, would have already done that bus ride at least once. So just silly things like that where we're all learning. And overall, I'm just really excited to see. And I always tell the young girls too, like how jealous I am that they'll have a full 4 years. Knock on wood.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I guess you never know, but yeah, certainly. I mean, all indication. Yeah. Well, speaking of the Hamilton game,
yes,
another victory for Bates over Hamilton. You got him last year here, got him this year there. You had 4 goals. Take us through what was working out there. What were you seeing?
I did. It was awesome. That overall, they were all 3 of the 4 were assisted goals, which is like huge for us. And it was all about, we knew that Hamilton plays a really great zone. And they are usually able to cause a lot of turnovers and just deny a lot of looks. So our focus all week of practice was quick ball movement. So with that, we were just able to actually execute in the game. I had assists from Maddie Donovan, Maddie Roloffs, Lauren Wong. They just all found me like fast and made it easy for me. So they did the hard work, and I was just able to put it in the back of the net. But yeah, on attack, we were really able to connect. And then we played some great man-to-man lockdown D, which was also amazing.
Excellent. And you touched on this, but what is it like being a senior captain this year?
It's A little strange. So yeah, my freshman year, I didn't play like at all. I was in a boot. I got surgery that year. And then last year I had mono, so I also missed half of our season. So it's been like this crazy learning curve where I almost feel like a freshman, like a first year, but I need to remind myself that there's actually like real first years and that I'm actually a senior. So there's a bit of like I feel like an imposter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wish I could say in like moments of hard games or hard practices that I'd been there before, but a lot of it's like new and exciting. And obviously, this is our second year with Renee as well. It keeps us on our toes, Cammie and I as captains and our senior class in general. But it's been an amazing experience, and that everybody on our team is just so like bought in to us becoming a winning team once again and like becoming a force to be reckoned with in the NESCAC. So I love it, and I'm gonna miss it when it leaves soon.
I feel like you've been pretty involved on campus just kind of in general throughout your time here at Bates. Student Athlete Advisory Committee, right?
I did the Bates Agents of Change.
That's right.
When it was,
yes.
So with Just Stuff, which was awesome. And yeah, that was all like over Zoom too, which
Right.
is pretty crazy to think back on now.
Yeah. So what's it like kind of, being involved in other aspects of the, Bates campus life?
I think right now, like what's on the forefront of my mind is like the academic like levels.
Yeah.
I'm a double major, so I'm writing my second thesis right now with Professor Mike Roque, actually,
Right.
who loves Bates athletics.
Yeah.
And so that's been really great. And I guess something I'm just like taking away my senior year is that like all these different spheres of Bates, they kind of like overlap. So for me, like both my thesis advisors know I play lacrosse. And after the Hamilton game, like I get an email that Saturday night from Mike Roque. He's like, "Great game! Like I saw you scored," and it's just really sweet to like see how the community kind of all like we keep each other in check and we're kind of aware of like the different things that we do on campus. So yeah, overall, and it is D3 week, so it's like awesome that being involved. Like I feel like I'm pretty heavily involved in my academics right now, but I'm also able to like be fully immersed in athletics. So it's been a great experience at Bates.
Excellent. And then, the season obviously has a few more games here. Hopefully, you got, 3 regular season games left?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on, I guess, you have a senior day coming up fairly soon, I suppose, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's on Saturday.
Yep.
It's looking like a 66-degree sunny day outside.
There you go.
So we're super excited for that. We had a tough game against Con last year where we just weren't able to execute. And it was just kind of like a what just happened moment with that game. So I think a lot of us, like, that's still fresh in my mind, and we're just ready to like attack that game, get a win on senior day. And yeah, thinking back to even like our sophomore year, we played Con at home. It was in masks, and we did like
That's right.
we did all of our pregame rituals like in a tent outside, socially distanced, and it's just like that's a huge game for us, and it means a lot more than just like the NESCAC game in itself, but there's like a lot of history there, and to get a win on Saturday is going to be like vital for us.
Excellent. Well, I guess it's your thoughts on, either the game against Hamilton or your time so far here at Bates you wanted to mention we haven't got to talk about?
I don't know. I mean, I guess overall, I think I would just say like I'm very grateful that throughout all this time, athletics has still been like the backbone for me at Bates. And I know I have friends that go to other schools and other NESCACs that they either had to like leave campus or like they had like remote school, for instance, or athletics just didn't really put in as much effort to kind of make it happen. And I know I joke about how sophomore year we had to do like social distanced passing, and you couldn't actually defend the people. You had to kind of just like be like a ghost defender or like a dummy D, so to say. But overall, just looking back, like I'm so grateful for even getting out on the field and like getting that face-to-face time with people during those tough times, because now that we are like fully in season and it's coming down the wire for us, like we can, whenever things aren't going our way, like I personally can take a step back and be like, ooh, I'm grateful that at least I can be here. At least I can play real defense and I don't have to just kind of be like a fake dummy D. And yeah, overall, just Bates Athletics did make the effort for us to get out in the field these past 4 years.
And 2 home games this week, right?
Yeah.
Tufts tomorrow.
Tufts is tomorrow.
And then Connecticut College on Saturday.
Yeah.
So check it out at Garcelon Field. The women's lacrosse team coming off a big win. Second straight time they've beaten a ranked Hamilton team, this time on the road. Shelby Howard, 4 goals, a career high. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Aaron.
On the baseball diamond, the Bobcats defeated Thomas College 9-1 on Thursday and took Game 1 of a doubleheader 7-4 over Colby on Saturday. In Thursday's contest, junior Corbin McAlpine tossed 6 shutout innings, striking out 5 to earn his first collegiate win.
On that day, I wanted to go out. I wanted to establish my fastball early on in the game and work my off-speed from there as we needed to. And the fastball was on early, and we were able to get a lot of guys out, and it felt good.
Excellent. Yeah, what was it like to get your first collegiate victory there?
Yeah, it was definitely great to get that one under the belt, and hopefully we can build off that and get more down the road. Chris McGrail came in relief, and he pitched 2 innings, and he did a good job and passed it off to Noah Timmer. They both did a great job closing that victory out for us.
Yeah, certainly. And then, take us through, when you were in high school, what made Bates the place for you?
Sure, yeah. So I was looking for a D3 school that had high academics and a good baseball program, and I was drawn to Bates because of the culture, and I really clicked well with Coach Martin, so I knew this was the place for me.
And obviously, the first year was kind of a weird one. You had a very, very abbreviated season, and so that transition from high school to college, do you finally feel as a junior kind of have made it sort of, because it was a weird start, right?
Yeah, it was a rough transition for me into college. The hitters here are definitely a lot more competitive, but between my freshman and my sophomore year, I was able to improve and make an adjustment and be able to compete a lot more at this level. And now I feel a lot more comfortable at this level. And now it's my job to help out the younger guys make the same transition that I did.
You're from Massachusetts, right?
I am, yes.
So tell me a little bit about growing up. I guess obviously a lot of people play baseball. But what made baseball maybe your favorite?
Yeah, sure. So growing up in Massachusetts, I always loved the Red Sox. I loved playing baseball from a young age. And I don't know, once I just got a baseball in my hand, I loved throwing the ball and hitting, and I just loved everything about the game, so it just stuck with me for the rest of my life.
Were you always a pitcher, or did you start that later?
No, I played in the field as well in high school. I actually was a catcher as well as a pitcher, and I played third base. So once I came to college, I became a pitcher only. But up until then, I played in the field as well. So
was there an adjustment also maybe becoming more of a specialist type role where you were used to playing a lot?
Yeah, there was some adjustment there. I mean, I like pitching a lot more than I do hitting and playing the field, so it was kind of just taking my favorite aspect of the game and magnifying it and making it my sole focus. So I kind of like that a lot more.
Take us through kind of your pitch mix, what you bring to the table.
Sure. I throw a 4-pitch mix. I throw a 4-seam fastball, a 2-seam fastball, a slider, and a changeup.
Okay, great. And 2-seam fastball, for those who don't know, a lot of people use a synonym as sinker, right, for that pitch. Tell us about what, the contrast between throwing a 2-seamer versus a 4-seamer.
Yeah, so my 4-seam fastball is pretty straight, and I use it to spot up in certain locations. And then my 2-seam fastball, I primarily use it to induce weak contact, and it drops and moves inside on a right-handed hitter. So I get a lot of ground balls to the left side of the infield with that pitch.
Terrific. And then, we mentioned the Thomas College game. That was actually the home opener for Bates, and it was pretty nice weather out there. So, what was it like to finally get back on Leahy Field?
Oh, it was awesome to finally get back out on Leahy, and we're just really excited. We got a long stretch of home games coming up here. We actually don't have to leave the state of Maine for a while, so we're going to be really excited to play. I think we have 5 games coming up this week, and it's supposed to be really warm out there, so it's going to be awesome.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, a ton of home games this week. You have a game this afternoon. We're talking on Tuesday. By the time you all are listening to this, they're probably in the middle of their game against us, and then Maine Farmington tomorrow. And Trinity's always a fun matchup, I feel like, the last few years. They always have a pretty good team, but Bates seems to be able to get some victories against them. What's that kind of matchup like? What do you guys talk about in terms of facing Trinity? Because obviously it's big, important NESCAC games here, right?
Sure, yeah. So we're going to focus on getting these 2 wins here against Husson and Farmington, and then take that momentum with us into the weekend against Trinity. Last year, we were able to take 1 out of 3 games from them, and we're hoping to build off that and win this series.
Yeah, certainly. Tell us a little bit about, it's a big roster, right, in terms of the team, a lot of guys on the team. What's the group kind of dynamic like?
We're a very tight-knit group, and as Coach Martin said this week in practice, we got a lot of games coming up, so everyone on the roster has to be ready to go. And he said you got to stay loose and just be ready when your name's called, because we're going to need all hands on deck for these stretch of games coming up here.
Excellent. What are your thoughts you wanted to share on your first collegiate win there against Thomas?
No, I don't. I just wanted to let everyone know that we're really excited for the rest of the season here, and just go Cats.
Absolutely, yeah. Games are right there in the middle of campus. You can't miss it. Corbin McAlpine, thanks so much for joining us on the Bobcast. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Aaron.
The track and field teams traveled to Troy, New York for the RPI Tri-Meet on Saturday, and men's senior captain Liam Byrne stood out, winning the hammer, the shot put, and the javelin. He also placed second in the discus. For his efforts, Byrne was named the NESCAC Men's Field Athlete of the Week. First of all, obviously, outdoor season, you get to do a bunch of different events, 4 of them, in fact. So what's that like going from 2 events in the winter to 4 events here in the spring?
It's definitely a bit of extra work. I'm pretty much competing I'm the first one going when the meet starts. I'm the last one going when the meet ends. And the unfortunate part is I never really get to see anything else. So and especially at places like RPI, the tracks at the base of the valley, jabs a little bit down the hill on the side from that, on the other side of a field hockey field, and then disc hammer shot are another 150 feet of elevation and quarter mile up the hill and away on the other side of a building from everything. So we see nothing. So I do miss being able to see the jumps and the sprints and all the running events and all the stuff like that. But it's definitely fun to have the events that I enjoy more.
We had some interesting conditions to start the year. I know the first meet at Bates was pretty rainy. What was it like in New York here this past Saturday?
It was mid-50s and sunny.
Okay.
It was a gorgeous day.
Yeah.
But it could not be more different than the first meet. That was brutal.
So how do you adjust that first meet, to the conditions?
Shorten up the throws a little bit, try to do whatever we can to stay dry and warm. We ended up being outside for about 7.5 hours from the start of hammer to the end of shot.
Yeah.
I think it got up to about 45 degrees at the end of the day, and the rain stopped around 3. But for the first 4 hours or so, it was about 38 and on and off pouring rain. So everyone was just soaked, trying to keep any kind of warmth in and just really trying not to get hurt.
Yeah. Well, you won 3 events this past weekend, and you got second in the other one. I know you have high expectations for yourself, strong goals for the year. So where do you see yourself right now? What are some goals you have maybe by the time we get to NESCACs, perhaps?
NESCAC's looking for minimum 3 wins. There's a Trinity shot putter that's sitting 5th in Division III right now. He's really doing well. So hopefully get to a place where I can, if he doesn't have a great day, I can at least be competitive with him, and then really just want to put the long throws away. So those are more my specialty. You don't get those during indoor, the disc, hammer, javelin. So I've been waiting for those for a while. NESCACs is definitely going to be a focus this year. This will be my one and only chance at NESCACs. Freshman year, no outdoor track. Sophomore year, abbreviated short season, and then last year tested positive for COVID a couple days before the meet started. So it's been rough to watch, but we'll see. Finally get one chance to put the conference back where it belongs. You mentioned to me before that you do much better when you have people who are really competitive, a lot of them. How's that change your mentality kind of when you have guys who are to your level and maybe perhaps someone you're trying to chase down? It just adds a little extra, motivation to the competition because, for the most part, this is something that don't really see as much in other sports, but even between teams, the throwers at least are pretty good friends with each other because, as I said with RPI, a lot of times we end up being pretty far away, so our team can't be there. So if you're not at least pleasant to people around you, it's just a terrible experience for everyone involved. So we all just it's general just support all around. In direct head-to-head, of course, I'm there to win, as is everyone else. But then as we get to the later meets where it's maybe just you don't send your full team because not everyone's qualified, but you get this is the group from the conference or from the region. I remember last outdoor I spent a lot of time with the MIT throwers. So we had a couple injuries here, and just as meets progressed, our teams got smaller. They were doing pretty much the same thing, so I hung out with the MIT guys a lot more, things like that. One of the cool things about track is seeing when people set, new personal records, even if they don't necessarily win the event. James Guiney, a couple PRs. James has started the season really well. Yeah. For the first weekend, he had a 6-meter PR on the hammer, which is enormous. He went from 40 to 46 meters. And then this past weekend, he had another half-meter or so to that. He also had a 2.5-meter discus PR this past weekend from 40.34 to 42.96, I believe. It's been great to see him finally connecting on some of those because he kind of exploded this past indoor in the weight throw, and then also had a big jump and shot put at the indoor state meet. So he's finally starting to get back to a place where he's feeling more confident in his throws, and they're really starting to move, which is great. He's got a lot more in the tank too. Yeah. For you personally, how much are you motivated right now? Because I think you barely missed nationals, right, in the weight? Yeah, I was top 20 go. I was 29th in weight, 33rd in shot during indoor. So those were both close enough that it was not pleasant to miss. Right. It was a historically great year.
Yeah, I saw
Like it's for most, we have a spreadsheet with most of the like past qualifying marks,
Yeah.
what it took to be an All-American, what it took to win, what it took to qualify for the last 15 years or so.
Yeah.
And it was the highest. It was the highest one we ever have seen. So that's cool. I've talked to a couple of alumni. I've been like, there's years and past. You guys have it easy, never, and all that kind of stuff. But like I've been back on that like 4-event meet thing. I talked to one of our alumni, Chris Murtagh, as often as I can. He's been immensely helpful because he was the last Bates thrower to really do all 4 outdoor throws at a high level. So it's been great to have him as a resource to help with training tips, diet. He got me on a nutritionist in Scarborough for a while, which was really helpful. Just different things that he's taken the time to go through and learn it, and makes more sense to him just telling me than me have to figure it out all by myself. No need to reinvent the wheel and all that.
Excellent. Yeah, more support from the alums. Gotta love that, right?
Oh yeah, it's always fun. There's a great group. We actually we're starting to get lined up to have the first alumni throwing competition in the fall. It'll be the same day as the 5K meet. Peter Goodrich's brother was a thrower at Middlebury. He's going to compete. Goodrich's nephew's a current thrower there. His parents are coming up as well. So we'll get them going, do a little Goodrich Memorial thing, kind of like that. It'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, excellent. So the alumni meet for cross country will also be an alumni meet for the throwers.
Yeah, starting this fall. If we can get it, it should happen. We're in final details getting hammered out.
Yeah, a lot of logistics, a lot of people to track down because there's a lot of good throwers who probably want to come back, right?
It'll be, depending on who shows up, it could be quite the interesting competition.
Absolutely. Well, Liam, thank you so much again for joining us on the Bobcast, and congrats on being the NESCAC Field Performer of the Week.
Of course, thank you.
Spring sports are in full swing, and it's a very busy week for Bates Athletics, with 10 home events, most of which are key NESCAC matchups for Bates. Find the complete schedule at GoBatesBobcats.com, and we'll recap all the action next time on the Bates Bobcast.
Black Billion,